Okay, so if there's we're almost done. The one last thing to do is if you are using a matrix unit with an MP3 streamer and you intend on using the Ripple software, which I generally advise is a good idea when you're using that product, assuming you've got a PC somewhere to serve that up, then edit your matrix unit, and in here you should be able to put you need to put in a little bit of extra detail. And the main thing is that you put in the IP address of where the Ripple music software is running. So what is the IP address of the PC? So in this example, I'm obviously running the Ripple software here on my local PC, and if I go and have a look at my network details, I can see that my IP address is 192.168.1.174. So for this example, that is what I'm using. So I highly suggest that you make sure your Ripple PC is static, or if you're using a local DNS or you have other Bonjour services, any of those sorts of things that allow for local URLs, that you use the URL for the purpose of the IP address. So in my case, 192.168.1.174, and we go OK. So we've got all the details. Now take note of this Ripple port number, very important. Okay, so this is the port number that Wiser will use to talk to Ripple for matrix switcher 1. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, so before we go on, I'm going to take us across to Ripple. And we're going to match up our current settings that we just put in with Ripple so that this service will work. So before we go on creating the actual widget itself, so we're in Ripple. If you haven't got open, launch Ripple. If you go to File, Configuration, okay, then we'll come into the configuration. Now this might open you up on any number of pages, from library to playlist to preferences, but what you want is the matrix switcher tab. Okay, and we wanted to provide the details of the actual matrix switcher to start with. Okay, so if you don't know your IP address of your of your matrix switcher, then you can obviously click on this and it'll launch the CBus IP utility, give you a quick scan, and you can see that there's my MRA v3 at that IP address. Okay, so we want to put in that detail, 192.168.1.103, give it a name. Okay, now currently you can see that these ports here are all disabled, and the reason for that, if we go OK, we should first of all confirm that Ripple is able to connect to your matrix switcher. So it says here that it's connected, it's ticked. And we need to actually configure Ripple to allow for ports. So you can see here, it seems to be fairly common when you install Ripple that this is set as disabled. So if it is disabled, then the port, if you recall, back in PICED under Project, CBus Application, or Audio Manager, Matrix Unit, I'd set the port for 20034. Okay, so basically what happens here is if you were to set this to 20030, okay, then what you'll find is, if we go back into here, you'll now find that the Wiser control port is 20034. That is because Ripple uses consecutive ports for the local PC. And then it moves up. So basically, if you've got more, if first you've got your local PC, which it uses 3 ports for, then you've got your first matrix unit and it uses 3 more ports for that, and if you had a second matrix unit and a third matrix unit, you'd use consecutive ports afterwards. So yeah, basically you need to set work it out. So if whatever you've got, take 4 off it and put it into the value here, and you'll get the correct port number that you need. Okay, very important that this is set up, or otherwise things like album art and playlists and things like that won't work for you. So okay, so that's all you really need to do, Ripple. and then we'll close that down. Oh, you should also ensure that you've got some playlists created, so not just your random albums, random artists and random tracks, but actually some playlists and stuff that are created. Okay, otherwise you may not see what you're looking for. Okay, so that's Ripple all going. If you've got Ripple set up, then you can minimize that. I suggest you don't close it. I'll get rid of that. Okay, so we're now ready to create our widget. So the quick and easy part. Once you set up your widget, you go select media, select your location. I'll choose office, add a widget. Okay, and it's the service type is CBus media. The widget type, we actually want the V3 zone widget. Okay, so all this will then change. We're locating in our office. I don't have it under a function group at the moment. Name of zone, this is going to be my office. The zone we can now select from a list, so you can see that the matrix switcher is populated because we have one to choose from our original audio manager. We can choose from the list created from the audio manager as well. My office is actually named Shed within my project. And what we can do to make this nice and easy is we can define default sources, and that will read it from the list. So here they are in the order that we want them. Okay, if you want them in a different order, then there's no problem there. You can just simply come along and change the order of what the source is. Okay, if you were manually creating them. If you failed to define sources and all those sorts of things within your audio manager, then again, you're going to find this list a little bit short. So you must use the audio manager. It will make life easy for creating the number of zone widgets you want. It does take a little while to set it up, but then it takes only moments to create any number of widgets for any number of zones. If you don't want a particular source available, then you decrease the number of sources, okay, and restructure your list accordingly. Okay, but I'm going to be quite happy with this one. So that's pretty much it. It's done. We've created a project. That's a good enough project to put into Wiser. So we should transfer it to Wiser. Find our Wiser unit. Transfer the project, wait the wonderful 90 seconds.